Liz, the podcast for the bookish, the queer, and the grossly ostentatious. I am Julie Jester. I am the chaotic bisexual horse on TikTok known as Plant-Based Bird Girl.
And I'm Ellie Rudy. I'm a journalist covering the LGBTQ plus community, an aspiring arsonist, and a 23-year-old lady waiting for her mediocre rise to fame. And I identify as someone who is attracted to Jeff Goldblum. We're here to share some queer cultural moments with you, laugh a little bit, and cry a lot. And whether or not you're gay, you're welcome here.
This podcast is for lovers of dramatic moments, questioning normalcy in modern relationships, and generally those with the energy of a feral, glittery tutu-wearing opossum. So, let's get started.
Let's.
Love that you put Jeff Goldblum in your introduction.
Yes, it is a big part of my identity, and I just think it would be really fair to come out to you all now as a
Jeff Goldblum stan.
Yes. Moving on.
moving the hell on. It's this is Liz. We decided to make a podcast all about queer stuff, modern stuff, every stuff, just the glittery, sparkly things of the world that Ellie and I are both attracted to.
Including Jeff Goldblum,
one of the glitteriest, sparkliest things of this fine world. So let's get started maybe with possibly our first segment, which is something we're calling No Stupid Questions. It stems from this thing in the queer community wherein it's these questions that we can be scared to ask or we don't feel like talking about. A good example of it is things like what you would ask a trans person about their experience with sex. Like, that's not something you should go up to them and ask about. That's not okay. That's literally harassment. And that's not something that they probably want to talk about just walking through life on a daily basis. So,
and by the way, not just trans people, all people, weird to go up to them and ask them how they have sex. It applies to pretty much everyone. Actually, absolutely everyone.
It is very true. So because we're a couple of loudmouthed women with resources, we wanted to take on the mantle for the entire queer community of helping answer those questions, making this a space to open the floor for those things, and we are going to do our best to both represent people well and get the message across to inquiring minds. Now, we will open the No Stupid Questions box. It's either going to be like an email thing or a Reddit thing, but that will be linked in the little bio area of this podcast. We're still setting everything up. We're little podcast babies. We're tiny little podcast infants.
Little fetuses, little podcast fetuses, just little barely a lot. I mean, anyway, I don't want to talk about fetuses. That's not what this show's about.
Welcome to Fetuses and Jeff Goldblum, the podcast. But yeah, so because this is our first episode and we haven't opened that box yet, we are stealing one of the questions that I get asked most often on my TikTok, which is, how do you know you're bisexual? If you're inclined to ask this question, I would say some part of you might be a little bit fruity.
You might be a bisexual.
My other answer to this is, if you watch Pirates of the Caribbean and you don't know where to look and you also start to feel kind of sweaty, you might be a bisexual.
You might be a bisexual.
No, but I do have some more serious answers and thoughts on this. I'll at least talk about my own personal journey with bisexuality, which is I spent so much of my childhood and so much of my teenagehood switching back and forth between being like, am I gay? Am I straight? Am I gay? Am I straight? And then I would have a crush on a woman and I'd be like, damn it, I'm gay. Which, nothing wrong with being gay. Obviously, anyone that follows me know I have no problem with people being gay. I love gay times. I am gay times. But back then, I was very much a little Jesus baby, and I was very afraid of being a lesbian. The amount of times that I looked up on an incognito browser christianlesbians.com because I just wanted to make sure like that's a thing that could happen. Incredible. But yeah, and so then I would I would have a crush on a man, though, after all of this and be like, what the hell? What is this? And then I would think I was straight. Yeah, it was
confusing time.
It was a very confusing time. And it was like, I don't think I even knew the word bisexual until I was a 9th, 10th grader. Like, it was pretty late.
The first time I think I heard the word bisexual is like my mom was watching Sex and the City and they're talking about it on Sex and the City, and I have never watched Sex and the City for real, but I was like child, like baby. Yeah. I was fetus, and I guess fetuses are actually a pretty big part of this podcast. Just full
drink
disclosure.
Every time we say fetus, it's fine. It
or
can
Jeff
be water.
Goldblum.
Yeah, or Jeff Goldblum.
But like, she was watching Sex and the City, and they're talking about bisexuality and how it wasn't real, which is like a whole other myth. But
there was so many jokes about how bisexuality isn't real.
In the 2000s, it was just like an easy joke, and honestly, like it doesn't last. It's not really that funny anymore, but at the time it was like very edgy and cool.
I mean, I think it's just truthful. I actually don't exist. I am a figment of our collective imaginations.
Yes. Continue.
Oh, continue.
Continue. We're also Italian.
We're Italian now. I'm an Italian bisexual with my friend Ellie.
Who's a fetus?
With a fetus and a Jeff Goldblum. This is so. People are gonna either really enjoy this or be like, what the actual hell? And that's honestly how it's been going with my TikTok. And that is that's honestly the edge that I like to ride. That is the line that I like to walk on. So I eventually learned the word bisexual, and I was like, wait just a darn minute. What a good time. So I was feeling pretty comfortable in that bisexuality because I had experienced a lot of feelings for both men and women and also others, because a little known fact that we'll talk about later, bisexuality does not mean binary. It does not mean attracted to both men and women. It means attracted to people who share your gender expression and attracted to those who don't share your gender expression. And that, I really hope that we put this on YouTube. We're filming currently our video chat because Ellie's doing this incredible little dance right now to what I'm saying. It's really wonderful. And if you want to imagine it, just imagine interpretive.
Imagine someone who looks just like a mix of like Starlight and Love and Beyonce and young Meryl Streep and Money. And imagine
Money.
that being doing a really beautiful dance.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's life-changing. Honestly, I might not put it on YouTube because it might make the public
it's too
shatter.
Shocking. Well, yeah, they might not be ready for it.
Yeah. And there's also
anyway. So sorry to interrupt. So sorry.
This is their place to talk. We decided we wanted to talk for like a lot.
We wanted to talk for a lot. But anyway, you're a bisexual. Oh, we get it. Okay, keep talking about it.
No, I know, and that's also something that I get a lot on my channel is people being like, we get it, you're bisexual, why do you need to keep talking about it? And I'm like, yeah, I truly, honestly, on my channel, probably talk about my bisexuality more than I have ever in my life, and it's not something that, like, if you met me walking around... Like, if you met me walking around or just anywhere else, it's not something that I'm like, and also I'm bisexual! But it became such a huge part of the platform that I've built is just being...
Did it become a huge part of your bi-identity?
It became a big part of my bi-identity. People started to really respond to seeing those who are out and proud, and honestly, I've only become more out and proud because of TikTok. Like, now when I meet people and they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm kind of on TikTok. They're like, oh, let me look you up. And I'm like, you're about to learn so much about me because I just put it all on there.
Same thing with my TikTok because it's just TikToks of my butthole. So people are like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm actually pretty famous on TikTok. They're like, what's your thing? And I'm like, you just have to see and find out. And they're always like, wow, this is just all her butthole. So my TikTok followers like also totally relate to that. I mean, Julie has like a lot of thousands, and I have more like in the 60 range, but those 60 people
are vocal and proud,
and they are big Ellie-nators. So I too experience that when people in public ask me what I do. Sorry, just had to do the plug for my butthole. Had to do the butt plug.
Had to do the butt plug. The Jeff Goldblum, the fetus, and the butt plug. Is it too late to change the name from Liz?
Never. This show canceled. Next week, it's never the good, the bad, the ugly. It's called the butt plugs, the fetuses, and the Jeff Goldblums, and that's.
I think it's perfect.
And it's funny because right before this episode, Julie was like, maybe we shouldn't talk like as much at the beginning, like maybe a little less back and forth because it was getting kind of crazy. And I was like, yes, I totally agree. I think we should, stay on board. And then immediately I was like, fetus, Jeff Goldblum, butt plugs,
it was perfect.
Buttholes, my butthole on TikTok. Anyway, please continue.
And this is what you can expect from future Julie Jelly podcasting. Is the third host of this show is our collective ADHD, which I was only recently diagnosed with, even though it's been screamingly apparent my entire life. Yeah, it's
yeah.
Do you have thoughts on that, Ellie? I paused because
I think you said. I just know that if I start talking, I'm not going to be able to stop talking. So I'm just letting you.
Don't hold yourself back. Like I'm sorry. I'm
just feeling really silenced right now, and this feels like a really toxic space. I think we should use the word toxic as much as we can.
Okay, perfect.
We are toxic girlies hosting a toxic gay podcast. But anyway, okay, so you're talking about how you're bi.
Yeah. This is the bi. And so, there's those moments that you'll look back on in your childhood where you realize, like, oh, crap, that was a very bisexual thing to have happened. Like, for instance, when my sister listened to, in the living room, I was watching Camp Rock, and I kept rewinding the final jam because something was happening between me and Demi Lovato and Joe Jonas, and I needed to figure out what was happening. There were a lot of feelings going down for one 6th grade Julie Jester, and we needed to get to the bottom of it. But yeah, and so I don't know why I did that for the longest time, and then later I learned the word bisexual, and I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah. So here's what I will say about knowing if you're bi. There's no one right way to discover your sexuality is the first thing I will say. The second thing I will say is if you keep judging yourself going back and forth between you're not sure if you like this kind of person or this kind of person, that's a pretty solid sign you fit somewhere on the bi, pan, anywhere of that area. And there's all sorts of different iterations of bi-ness. There's no one right way to be bi or to discover that you're bi. So what I will say is if you are a listener who is thinking about this, struggling with this, whatever, be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself. There is no speed or rush on figuring out who you're attracted to. You have so much time, and the most important thing is that you get to know yourself and you put yourself in sexual, romantic, whatever situations that feel good, comfortable, and valuable to you. So yeah, be kind.
And to go off of that, I knew that I was attracted to Jeff Goldblum when I saw actually the movie The Fly, which is not one of his more attractive. Like he basically, I don't know, it was a minute ago, but before he turned into this like fly creature, basically there was like, I don't want to spoiler for a movie that came out a long time ago, so if you haven't seen it, that's on you. But there's like a machine, and I think the thing is you can put two things in the machine, it combines them, maybe, and then like Jeff Goldblum got in it alone, but then a fly happened to accidentally be in the machine, and he didn't know that. So he came out of the machine, and like at first you think he was like really strong. He was like, what happened? Because I guess like because flies can like hold their body weight on the side of a wall or whatever. Like he could do like wild. Cool shit. Yeah, he was like, oh, this is great. But then he was like, oh, I am turning into a fly, and things got really scary. But before he turned into a fly, I was like, break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. So, and that is my journey as well. So
We love that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we love that for you.
Thank you.
So, speaking on the topic of bisexuality, which is kind of a little bit the theme of this first episode, outside of Jeff Goldblum, butt plugs and fetuses, and Ellie's butthole.
Yeah.
Is the Bisexual Manifesto is what I have brought in for us to think about today. So if you are here from my TikTok, you might remember an episode in which someone in the, I was about to say in the audience.
Someone else, look under your seat. There's a piece of lint. Piece of lint for you. Piece of lint for you. I don't know.
Somebody, no, I loved it. I loved it.
Go.
Stop. Look at me right now.
It's canceled.
I'm gonna kiss you through the screen.
Okay, you should probably kiss me through the screen. But anyway, you were giving out pieces of lint.
I was giving out pieces of lint to the audience.
Right, where's the Bisexual Manifesto?
Yes, the Bisexual Manifesto. Somebody asked if Craig, my butler, another character on the show, this very popular straight man who blows bubbles off the side of the screen, they asked if he could recite the Bisexual Manifesto, and then this was maybe my magnum opus, was the idea to instead have him read Nicole Kidman's AMC movie theater speech, the "We come to this place for magic" in place of the actual Bisexual Manifesto, simply because that is a bisexual experience, that Nicole Kidman AMC speech. If I can describe bisexuality in one thing, it is that. But you may or may not know that there is a legitimate Bisexual Manifesto. That's right. We made a manifesto, and we made it in 1990.
A manifesto, a woman-festo, a them-a-festo.
A them-a-festo.
It is a festo.
I need all of the queers listening to this to rally and start making them-a-festos, because that sounds awesome.
Listeners, please get back to us with your them-a-festos.
Yes, send us your them-a-festos. We will read them with passion on here.
We will.
So, the Bisexual Manifesto, written in 1990, 32 years ago, was produced by a bisexual literature, art, and media magazine that was originally called Anything That Moves, which kind of was stemmed from the old idea that bisexuals will sleep with anything that moves. Then they sort of reclaimed the title, making it more about like anything that is moving, anything that is like, you know, poetic, is stirring to the queer experience. But now they are called the Bay Area Bisexual Network. They are still going strong 32 years later, and they are a really cool resource for some queer lit, queer art, all of that stuff. But the original publication of the Bisexual Manifesto, and I'm going to read this all for you all today because it is super short, so I figured why not.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Goes as follows. I will be reading it out, and Ellie will be reacting as she sees fit. She's making a lot of faces right now. Once again, the YouTube viewers really get the bonuses.
Yeah, you have to watch it. Watch it to believe it.
Yeah, we're like producing a podcast, and we're like, well, you have to watch it also.
You have to watch it.
You're listening to us right now, and you're like, these bitches. I already showed them for them once.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Here's the Bisexual Manifesto. Here we go. We are tired of being analyzed, defined, and represented by people other than ourselves, or worse yet, not considered at all. We are frustrated by the imposed isolation and invisibility that comes from being told or expected to choose either a homosexual or a heterosexual identity. Monosexuality is a heterosexist dictate used to oppress homosexuals and to negate the validity of bisexuality. Bisexuality is a whole, fluid identity. Do not assume that bisexuality is binary in nature, that we must have two sides, or that we must be involved simultaneously with both genders to be fulfilled human beings. In fact, and this is my favorite line, in fact, don't assume that there are only two genders. Do not mistake our fluidity for confusion, irresponsibility, or an inability to commit. Do not equate promiscuity, infidelity, or unsafe sexual behavior with bisexuality. Those are human traits that cross all sexual orientations. Nothing should be assumed about anyone's sexuality, including your own. That's so ominous. I love that.
Oh, yeah. They're like, they broke the fourth wall there. They're like, you, we're listening. Out. Yeah, we can see you. We're everywhere.
They wrote
like,
that,
bisexuals, they're like, we have eyes everywhere. So coincidentally, bisexuals make up the majority of the CIA. So I actually don't know that, but that would be really funny.
I feel like it could. I feel like it easily could, especially from the unit of the CIA that needs to seduce people to get information.
Yeah. Honestly.
Final paragraph of this. We are angered by those who refuse to accept our existence, our issues, our contributions, our alliances, our voice. If it is wait, no, it's not if. I can't read. It is time for the bisexual voice to be heard. Do not expect each magazine to be representative of all bisexuals, for our diversity is too vast. Do not expect a clear-cut definition of bisexuality to jump out from the pages. We bisexuals tend to define bisexuality in ways that are unique to our own individuality. There are as many definitions of bisexuality as there are bisexuals. Welcome to the Bi Manifesto. I was reading that, so I didn't see Ellie's dance moves, but I know they were fire.
They were pretty good. They got a little redundant at some time. I'm gonna be honest. There were some things I was like, I don't know how to dance this out. But there was one that I was like, no, I don't remember what the line was because my dance move was so good, but you'll see it later on
for sure. So this is a really fascinating document, and something that a Reddit user commented on a posting of this was that it feels like it could have been, Sparky is meowing. We've got Sparky in frame.
Sparky is her pet fish, so it's super weird that it's meowing.
Ellie and I are both in our humble beginnings era, so our pets may or may not crop up during this podcast. We love them. Ellie has a wiener dog named Molly.
She's asleep because she's better than this podcast. She does not care.
Sparky is not, and he wants his voice heard. So right now, Ellie's gonna riff for a little bit while I go hold Sparky.
All right, here's me riffing. So the deal with Sparky is, and Julie's gone, so she can't hear this. She'll be able to hear it later. But I don't like cats. She doesn't know that yet. She'll know it later. So, and I don't respect them, and I don't really respect Sparky. So instead of calling it Sparky, I only refer to it by any other name than Sparky. From here on out, I like to say, how are you doing, Queen Elizabeth? Or what's up, Margaret Thatcher? I don't know why we're just on Liz Truss for some reason. Since you've been gone, I've gotten on a tangent about British leadership.
Great. We love to see it.
Because I called Sparky Queen Elizabeth, and then I was like, and sometimes I call it Margaret Thatcher, and sometimes I call it Elizabeth Truss, and then I was like, these are all British female leaders.
Which is honestly Sparky's energy. I'm not mad about it. I like it. I think it's fitting.
I think it is too.
Sparky just needed to be hugged briefly, which is kind of his deal. So back on to our Bisexual Manifesto. Thank you for that brief interlude.
You're welcome. Yeah, it was pretty good. Okay.
Cool.
Okay, Julie just got back from handling Steve Buscemi.
Wow, perfect energy. Yes, thank you for that interlude. I can't wait to listen to it in post. I'm sure it was brilliant.
Some things came out, Julie.
Some things came out. Uh-oh. Are we back on?
I don't know. You'll see. Anyway, continue on. What were we talking about?
Perfect. The old Bisexual Manifesto.
Right. That gem.
Once again, the third host being our collective ADHD, which is gigantic. She's a gigantic part of. She's just a huge woman.
Yeah, she is a large. She's like, in the Nutcracker. This is actually a pretty deep cut reference. I don't know if everyone's seen the Nutcracker, but at least when I saw the Nutcracker. Oh, by the way, Julie and I both knew each other growing up.
We did. We should close out.
Wait. Let me talk about the Nutcracker. So there's that part where Mother Ginger comes out and she's huge and she's really tall. Do you actually know what I'm talking about?
I saw it once.
And there's a whole bunch of people under her skirt who come out. and they
that
dance.
is our ADHD.
That is, yes. Like, it's like a very, very tall, large woman, and she comes out in a large, bustling hoop skirt. And then other little baby ADHDs come out of the hoop skirt and just wreak havoc. Anyway. I digress.
Perfect.
I digress is like a really smart way of being like, sorry I had ADHD for a second. Back to the topic.
You're so right. I need to keep that one in my pocket more.
I digress. It's a good one.
So talking through our sweet little bisexual manifesto, I really like this idea sort of in the beginning that almost exactly mirrors what I was talking about, what I went through when I discovered bisexuality myself, which was it kept going back and forth between, do I like women? Do I like men? Do I like women? Do I like
There's
men?
a fly in here. I'm so sorry. And is it Jeff Goldblum? I don't know. I think he's actually a much bigger part of this podcast than we initially anticipated, but it sounds like if I could do a good Jeff Goldblum impression, I'm not even gonna, you know what, I will try. He's just like, I'm Jeff Goldblum.
He's like, well,
he didn't.
Well,
I'm Jeff Goldblum.
I don't think that's Jeff Goldblum, babe.
It's not that, but he's like, hey, I'm Jeff Goldblum. It's not that either, but
I don't think it's that either.
Working on it, but anyway, there's a fly in here. Julie's gay. We digress. We are digressing.
The fly is digressing. All are digressing.
Back to the gay.
Hi, it's me.
Hey,
again.
gay.
Hey.
Hi, gay.
Hi. So yeah, and I think that what I was going through, judging myself as either into men, into women, gay, straight, is something that is so true for how, at least in the beginning, we were viewing bisexuals. And we still do this to this day, but like when I first sort of came out as bisexual, kind of on accident a little bit, it was when...
And we have to... Okay, yeah. Are you going to go into the whole coming out story now, or are we going to do a whole separate episode about that? Because is it like a saga? Like, I'm excited. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to save it for her own situation? Like, I kind of feel like we should keep people on their toes.
Keep people on their toes about coming out?
I kind of want to.
I don't have like a...
Okay, it's okay. Maybe I'm hyping it up a little too much. So there were not fireworks or a mariachi band, is what you're telling
most of my
me.
TikTok is how I came out, so there was confetti, at least.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Okay. Fuck me. Just go ahead and tell your coming out story, because I guess everyone's already heard it. So what do I know? Go ahead, tell everyone how gay you are.
It was once again, it was an accident. It was the day that Trump got elected to office, and
that was a tough day.
Which is a special day to be like, you know what else, y'all? I'm gay. But I basically posted this thing on Facebook. Oh my god, I can't believe I was on Facebook. That feels like a million years ago. I haven't touched Facebook in years, but I was like, this is not okay. I am terrified for friends of color. As a queer person, I am terrified. I just kind of like in a blind rage put that out on Facebook, where all of my family members, some of my former teachers and friends were, as a queer person, I am terrified. And like, people started calling my mom, people started messaging me. They were like, what do you mean by queer? And I was like, I like both men and women and also other genders.
People called your mom?
People of my family called my mom because they liked...
Okay, I'm glad you brought this up, because I actually called your mom. I was like, oh, I didn't know she was going to bring that part up, but I too was like, hey, Miss Jester, I'm actually not that good of friends with your child. But I think you should know what's going on, so I'm glad you did bring that part up. Like I said, Julie and I go way back. So continue. People were calling your mom. Trump was president. It was a crazy time.
Yeah, and so then my cousin, I guess, found out. She wasn't on Facebook. She was very young. Found out through her mom or some channels or just the whispers happening in the hallways of Julie's bisexuality.
Gay.
Is it too late to change the podcast name to The Gay Whispers?
Gay whispers, gay whispers.
whispers, gay whispers, gay whispers. Maybe there needs to be. Oh my god, I just had such a good idea. Okay, we can cut this out or we can keep it in, but maybe there should be a segment later on called Gay Whispers where people tell us their gay secrets through Reddit.
Yes. Okay, wait. No, we're absolutely keeping that in. Hey everyone, if you have a gay secret, give it to us.
Tell us your gay whispers.
Tell us your gay whispers.
Please just tell us your gay whispers.
Yeah,
that was a lot. That was good. I'm glad that we just had that.
Yeah,
so anyway,
that was explosive.
Okay,
yeah.
So there was gay whispers.
There was gay whispers.
Julie being gay.
And my tiny cousin messaged me, and she was just like, "So you're bisexual?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "That's great. Which one are you right now?" And I was like, "That is such a sweet question and such a legitimately true." Question.
Yeah, and for some people, I'm like, it can be like, you know what? Right now, I'm really feeling this gender. This is what I'm really like. I wanna kiss that.
I want to kiss that.
I want to kiss that. And at other times, it's like, I'm really into this gender. I want to kiss that. But that is a very cute question.
It is, and I think it's just very reflective of how I was viewing it, how the Bisexual Manifesto is calling us out for viewing it, how everyone else is viewing it, that it's like bisexual is sort of this phase. Even if you're someone who's accepting of gayness, you're like, bisexual is the transitionary period where you then decide if you really want to be gay or if you really want to be straight. But the truth is, no matter who I marry, if I marry, that's not going to mean that I'm suddenly for the rest of my life a lesbian and I always have been and I was lying, or I am suddenly straight and I always have been and I was lying, or whatever. So take people's truths as they are, and that is a massive thing to say in an umbrella statement. But yeah, so that's sort of the first half of the Bisexual Manifesto that we're covering here, and it's kind of incredible to see that it's still today. It's still today that we're like, which one are you? Are you the gay one or the straight one? And then something cool that bisexuality does, is it opened the door for all of these other different umbrella terms, and I feel like in a way it opened the terms for like non-binary and all of these gray areas. Like that is something that I think that is really cool that bisexuality brings to the table, is the idea of the Kinsey scale in action, gay gray area in action.
Gay Gray.
Gay Gray.
That's your rapper name. Lil Gay Gray.
Lil Gay Gray. But yeah, and so prior to this, it was like, do you have the gay? Do you not have the gay? And that's not a fun way to look at it.
It's not. Everyone can have a little gay if they want to.
As a treat.
Just a little, just spoil yourself on the weekend. A cheat day.
Yeah, and so then another cheat day gay moment that I really liked is in this second paragraph here, where it goes into about how unsafe sex practices do not associate it with bisexuality because this behavior crosses all sexual orientations. If that ain't the truth, and isn't it something that we love to generalize about people? Like, I feel like we have this idea about gay men that they are more sexually promiscuous, but it's because they have this thing. There's this thing called AIDS that gave us this idea that it spread like wildfire, and we're like, well, there's receipts there. There's things that we have this to prove it. But if there were an AIDS for straight people, and there are all sorts of, herpes, gonorrhea, all of that stuff. Wow, this got so serious.
It got really serious.
So serious. So fast.
We are talking, this is now a podcast about gonorrhea and how it will ravage your body. And we only talk in NPR voices now. Because it's a very serious, it's a very serious podcast about gonorrhea.
There is no one more sexually unsafe and promiscuous than a straight man cheating on his wife. Why we assume it goes to bisexualities and bisexuals, I'll never know.
The world will never know. You have to lick the Tootsie Pop to find out that one, ladies and gentlemen and theys and thems.
And gays and hems.
And gays and hens.
And hens. All of the hens of this podcast.
All the hens listening are like, thank you. We feel so seen right now.
Yeah, well, I'm a hen. Oh, hi, Sparky. Welcome back to the podcast. Do you have something to add?
Hey, Jared.
Jared. Yeah. So, and then additionally, that the idea that attraction to multiple genders does not mean that you are constantly feeling those things all the time. Now, one could be, a hypersexual person could be, someone who just has a high libido could be, but it kind of goes to that locker room thing where when somebody finds out there's a gay person in the locker room, they're like, well, you're gonna stare at me. It's like, just because I experienced attraction to women, just because I experience attraction to all genders, does not mean that I want to sleep with everything I see all the time. It doesn't mean that I'm experiencing attraction to literally everyone that I see.
And I'm like, no, the only reason I'm staring is because I'm realizing that everyone here, apparently we all decided that we're gonna shave our vaginas and no one told me. And you're in 7th grade and you have a full head of hair and everyone's like, what? And you're like, what? And so that is, you're just shocked. Apparently there was a meeting that you missed where all of the girls in your class got together and were apparently like, we shave our downs now. You weren't invited. You were not invited. So that is, pardon my leering. I'm just shocked by all of these bare vaginas. Anyway.
These naked downs.
These naked downs. So that's why I'm staring.
Podcast name idea, The Naked Downs.
The Naked Downs. The Naked Downs, I feel like, should be like our Australian spin-off show. Like, we are the Naked Downs.
We're the Naked Downs. We're here to talk to you about wallabies and safe sex practice.
And how all koalas have chlamydia. They do.
Those poor koalas.
They really do. That
At
is,
least-
if you take away one thing from this podcast, it is that all koalas have chlamydia. I'm pretty sure it's
At
chlamydia.
least they have eucalyptus leaves to keep them high, like literally all the time.
Yeah, queens.
Queens. They're just having a good little time.
They are.
And then, as I pointed out when I was reading it, my favorite line is just this quick little sentence that says, "In fact, don't assume that there are only two genders." Already in the 90s, and obviously non-binary hood, transhood, whatever name you want to call it, has existed throughout.
Robin Hood,
Peter Pan. Peter Pan, also bisexual icon.
Yeah, for real. And maybe non-binary icon.
Maybe non-binary icon.
I don't know.
Hey, little mister. Also maybe asexual icon.
I don't know. Peter Pan has their whole own thing. There will be a whole follow-up episode on Peter Pan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so obviously gender queerness has existed through the ages. We know this throughout history. Gender queerness has been a thing. It always will be a thing. It will continue to be a thing. But for the 90s, and it's the 90s in the US to have a piece of paper being like, do not assume there are two genders. That's a sexy thing for the 90s. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
90s.
Good for you, 90s.
I mean, this was before our time. What year were you born? I was born in 98.
I was also born in 98.
I was born I was December 98. Where were you?
I was August 98.
So you're like 6 months older than me.
I'm like 4 months older than you.
Wait. August, September, October, November. Oh, yeah. That was hard on me.
Hey, you did great. We all believed in you.
So you were young for your grade.
Yes, I was.
Okay. Cool.
I was a really smart kid. I got pushed forward.
So you were supposed to be in my grade.
Yeah. Well, so they gave my parents the option. They were like, she's pretty young. You could just like start her in school next year and she'd be probably doing better. And they were both earth signs and said, no, our daughter will learn. Our daughter will learn. She will learn well. And so the only thing that translated to is for my first year of school, I did fall asleep for half of the classes. Like my parents would pick me up sleeping on the bench outside the school.
First grade is exhausting.
I know, it's super exhausting. But we made it. We're here.
Yeah,
we're queer.
Here.
We're starting a podcast.
And we like to leer.
And we like to leer at naked downs.
And that just, I want that quote taken out of context, plastered everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
We like to leer at naked down downs. That's the one take. T-shirt merch.
T-shirt.
Do I hear merch?
Merch. Merch. Jeff Goldblum. Butt plugs. Fetuses.
Get your fetuses. Get your fetuses. Get your down
right over here. So, yeah. We love a don't assume there are two genders, and we love seeing that in a place in the Bisexual Manifesto, because bisexuals have throughout history been very loudmouth pieces of the gay community, even though they don't always get.
You're gonna say very loudmouth pieces of shit.
Loudmouth pieces of shit. No, they've been many bisexuals, even though people consider them to have this like almost chameleon effect in the queer community, like they can be gay when they want to, they can be straight if they need to, kind of thing. There are actually many bisexuals who are at the forefront of rallying for trans rights, non-binary rights, and I feel like I fit so nicely into the loudmouthed bisexual time and energy. Shit. Yeah, piece of shit. Now that and it's just.
And wait. Going off of that, this little sneak peek for the next episode. Did you know that the person who designed the bisexual flag encouraged the person who went on to design the trans flag, further pointing that bisexuals are great and
bisexuals
love everyone. So
yeah, they just be buddies. They be
buddying. Bisexuals be buddying. That is what they say. Anyway, I'll continue.
So right now in the background of my mic, you might hear some noises that Sparky is making. He is doing what we call washing his hands, which is when he just like puts his hands against this thing over here to
Classic Glenn.
So that is the noise you're hearing. We'll see if we can take it out in post, but we cannot stress enough how much we are podcast fetuses. So if we don't, you're here for it. Here for it. You're listening to Sparky wash his hands right now. So getting back on to what we were saying, the definition of bisexuality has truly changed over the years. Actually, the first historical record of the word bisexual was in 1793, but it is something that we would equate more to what we call non-binary today, as it used to mean possessing characters of both sexes. So
wait, pause. Did you, and just so listeners, you know, Julie and I actually already recorded this whole episode last week, or a couple days ago, but I like accidentally got kind of wine drunk and it was just unusable content. Did you talk about this? Did you talk about last time where you the whole bisexual thing back in the day was non-binary, or do I just know this fact, or did I learn it from you?
I talked about it last time.
Okay.
And I think you did learn it last time.
I was gonna be oh my god, that's so crazy. How did I know that? And it was Julie did tell me I should not be allowed to drink wine. Anyway, continue.
Live your life. So here we are. And so then bisexuality got updated in the dictionary to mean attraction to both men and women, but as we have learned multiple times on this podcast, that's not entirely what it is. So then finally, the current Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of bisexuality is of relating to or characterized by sexual or romantic attraction, shout out to the bi-romantics, to people of one's same sex and of the opposite sex, of relating to or characterized by sexual or romantic attraction to people of one's own gender identity and of other gender identities. And
I'm like the woman with the math. Wait. That was a lot of really big words.
Basically,
please distill that.
In the words of bisexuals, it's both. So Merriam-Webster has listed that bisexuality is sexual or romantic attraction to your own sex and the opposite sex, but that is something that gives into the binary in thinking that there's only your sex and an opposite sex.
Right.
So we also got this definition in underneath it, which is our nice updated definition. That is the one that I subscribe to, and many other bisexuals I know subscribe to, which is of relating to or characterized by sexual or romantic attraction to people of one's own gender identity and of other gender identities.
Yeah, I like that.
That's the little double one there, and I think that is the definition that is going to stand the test of time, in my opinion, and that is the one that is the most true to how almost every bisexual I know experiences their bisexuality. But that first one is still there, little piece of history.
And okay, this might be a dumb question, and if you don't know the answer, we can cut it out in post. And listeners, please pipe in on this. And we're on a learning journey. I literally studied gay in college. I had an LGBTQ plus minor. But so if bi is being attracted to your own gender identity and then other gender identities, what's the difference between that in pansexuality? Because I really don't know a whole lot about pansexuality. So if you do know, please educate me.
Yeah, so, I will take on a little bit of this, but I think we could do a whole episode entirely about the difference between bisexuality and pansexuality. But as I understand it, is bisexuality is attraction to all genders, or at least multiple genders, including one's own and others. And then pansexuality is attraction to all, regardless of gender, and it's mostly based... So the most important word there is regardless. They're not even thinking about gender, really.
It's gender blind, kind of?
Yeah, gender blind is a good way of saying it. And bisexuality, I think, in a word, acknowledges the other gender, acknowledges differences in gender, not differences in gender, but acknowledges their difference to your difference in gender expression.
Yeah, okay.
And is actively attracted to that. So It's kind of hard. It's like such a fine line. It's a little bit of a toss-up, but there should be no bi towards pan hate or pan towards bi hate. I see it on my channel all the time where pansexual...
Really?
Yeah, where bisexuals...
what's the argument there? Why the hate?
Pansexuals think all bisexuals should be pansexual, and bisexuals think all pansexuals should be bisexual. They're just basically fighting over semantics here.
Can't we all just be friends?
Exactly. I don't see the point in that, especially because the queer community is so largely about finding a label that feels right to you.
Yeah, I'm just call yourself whatever you want.
Yeah,
I identify as someone who's attracted to Jeff Goldblum, and
yeah.
There we go.
And I identify as a chaotic bisexual horse, and I know that there are others out there.
My pronouns are she, her, queen.
My pronouns are she, her, horse.
Okay, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for educating me, listeners. If I said anything bad, please burn down my house.
Don't burn down Ellie's house. I'm gonna speak for her on that as her agent. I'm not her agent, but so that is what I have between bisexual and pansexuality, and that is what I have mostly on the Bisexual Manifesto. And then to close it out, the Bisexual Manifesto speech that is a tweet from December 18th in 2017, taking it today from our bisexual queen Halsey. She writes, "So if I'm dating a guy, I'm straight, and if I date a woman, I'm a lesbian. The only way to be a #true bisexual is to date two people at once. And if that ain't the heart of it, the only way people will ever believe that I'm bisexual is if I'm like, this is my girlfriend, and they're like, oh, so you're a lesbian, and then you're like, no, this is my boyfriend. And that's how you disprove it to them. So going forward, if you're a bisexual, know that you are valid no matter who you're dating, and if you're not a bisexual, don't invalidate bisexuals. Their attraction...
If you're not a bisexual, then fuck you. Get the fuck out. Not
kidding. Get out of my face. Thank you. Yeah, so I think right now the thing that Ellie and I would love to do most is just share with you a little bit more about ourselves and how we know each other, and also how this podcast, this little Liz time, came to be.
Sorry, I'll sell it to self. So Julie and I actually know each other from way back when. We went to the same elementary school and middle school and high school together. Julie was a year older, still well, I mean, she's not a year older. She's 4 months.
She was in
older
the
than me.
grade above. She was in the grade above.
She was in the grade above me. And we weren't friends.
Nope. we observed each other from a distance, and by high school, I think we were competing to see who could be more like Jess Day from New Girl.
Yes, neither one, and both lost actually.
Both lost massively, but we were in the theater world together, so we did have a lot of mutual friends and a lot of mutual experiences and teachers.
Same theater teachers, and
Ellie was the musical theater bitch. I was the straight theater bitch.
Which is funny because she's not straight.
She's not straight. No, she's not.
But let's face it, if you're in the theater, no one's straight. So
valid. Extremely valid. Not a single one.
Not a one. But anyway, yeah, we had adjacent interests, but we
weren't friends.
We ourselves were not adjacent to one another.
I used to have such feelings about Ellie. I was like,
Julie was in love with me.
I was in love with her. It was like one half I was like, oh, I can't, not like I can't stand her, but I was like,
got that a lot. I still get that a lot, so I wouldn't mind.
I think you're so incredible and so fun to talk to, and obviously I had some kind of chip on my shoulder in high school, but I was just very much like Ellie thinks she's too cool for school, but at the same time I was like, Ellie's too cool for school. I just thought you were so cool. I was like, she's too cool for me. I can't handle how cool she is. Ugh. And she's in the grade below me, so it's like really embarrassing for me to be thinking this.
My opinions of Julie is like, she acts good. And that was honestly pretty much the extent of it. Like, I saw her in some plays, and I was like, that was good. Like, she acts good. And then one time, Mr. Pfluger, who was both, that wasn't his real name, but Mr. Pfluger, who was both of our drama teachers, he gave you, okay, he told me this, I don't know if it's true, but he gave you a monologue from Steel Magnolias when you were in 7th grade. And then the next year, he was like, I don't give this monologue to everyone. I only give this to really good actresses. I gave this to Julie Jester last year, but I think you can handle it. And then I did it, and I was like, damn, that bitch must be pretty fucking good. So I guess Mr. Pfluger saw something in both of us, and we both did.
I'm losing my mind right now because that monologue
just came to me. That literally just came to me.
Was a turning point for me as like an actor in my young career, because he gave that to me. And I remember just being really passionate for acting, but I didn't remember, I don't remember if I thought I was good or not or whatever. But I remember getting that monologue and being like, holy effing Lord, that is a hard-ass monologue.
Did you cry in it?
Yeah.
Me too. That was the first time I ever cried for theater.
Yeah.
And I was like...
I remember doing it, and one of the other teachers, Mr. Flallard, came God. Yeah.
Loved him.
He came and watched, he watched in addition to the class when we were doing it for like our little final project or whatever. And I remember watching him like start to cry as I did this monologue, and then him like pull me aside afterwards and be like, you need to do this for the rest of your life. You understand that, right? And I was like, oh, hooray, I'm talented.
Oh, that's amazing.
But yeah, no, so I pinpoint that back to one of my first big moments where I gained like a confidence in the theater and a confidence in the way that I can speak and talk and deliver ideas. So I can't believe I never
literally
knew that.
Right? It literally just came back to me, and I was like, oh my God, we both did that. Because he was like, Julie Jester, like, I don't give this to everyone. I really like only give this to like really good actresses. And I was like, whatever. I was the lead in the musical in 7th grade. Like, I know I'm good. And, and I was full of myself because I'm going to be honest, I was like pretty fucking good in middle school. Like, I was kind of a musical theater bitch.
Phenomenal singer.
Yeah, I knew my worth. So he said that, and I was like, oh shit, if Julie Jester was good today, it was probably really good. And then I did it, and he was like, that was good. Probably wasn't as good as you, because I don't really like dramatic stuff. But anyway, we do have that connection. We have that connection. And I'm sure throughout the show, we're going to find lots of little more weird through lines.
And that's going to be a fun thing for us to go on together. But
yes.
Catching us up to now. So Ellie and I went to the same high school. We then did not talk or interact for about 6 or 7 years in between the time.
Didn't even think about her.
No, not really. I'd see her around on Instagram and sometimes and be like, oh, she's neat.
And she'd be like,
cool.
oh, what a slut.
What slut?
And she'd comment like really horrible things, like, we hate you, like, I wish you were never born, like, you were a mistake, like, you're a waste of oxygen. So
I really thought you were about to say she was commenting really horny things, like, I'm up here on your channel, like, you look so good. Like,
it was weird. It was
DM,
what's
DM,
it?
DM.
Yeah, no, it was like, what's it called? It's not love bombing, when someone's like really shitty to you but also nice to you at the same time. She was doing that to me. And it worked, and that's how this podcast. She was really mean.
None of this is true. For the people who are confused, I would, for one, never hate comments on someone's posts.
I would, depending on the person. But anyway,
for sure. So I am on TikTok as plant-based bird girl, and I guess Ellie found me.
She came up on my For You page, which is pretty crazy because I'm actually not even on TikTok, or at the time wasn't on TikTok all that often. So it was kind of kismet, if you will. Kismet. But she popped up, and I was like, that's funny, and I like that. So I followed her, and like I said, I'm a journalist. So I was doing a article for NBC Out, which is NBC's gay, and I did an article on queer TikTokers that I'm loving right now, and Julie was on the list. Obviously.
I can't believe it. I made the list.
She made the list. So I reached out to her. I messaged, I texted Flario Merler. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And I was like, well, first I texted Marilyn Flaves, but she didn't text me back. So then I texted Flario, and I was like, hey, do you have Julie's number? And she's like, yeah. And she sent me your contact, and the contact like picture that she has for you is you from middle school. So
Stop.
That is really important that I have that.
I'm terrified.
So I texted Julie, and I was like, hey, this is super random. This is Ellie Rudy, but I am doing this article, and I want to feature you in it. And she shid her pants, and
I shid my
was
pants.
like, yes, oh my God, that's so amazing. You're so talented. Like, I'm obsessed with you. And I was like, oh my God, okay. I was like, tap on the brakes a little bit. But I ended up including her in the article, and I was like, by the way, what if we did something creative together? Like, I know this is random, but I just moved to New York City, and I know you do creative, good things, and I want to do good creative stuff too. So what if we did that? And she was like, immediately, all caps, like, oh my God, yes, I want to do that so bad. And I was like, Julie, literally, you're coming on so strong right now.
Well, it's true. I come on pretty strong. I'm a strong cup of coffee.
But it worked. And I was like, podcast? And she was like, podcast? And I was like, podcast? And she was like, podcast!
And then we called it Liz.
And that's how we're here today.
Yeah, well, so also, before Ellie had reached out to me talking about any of this, the article, creative stuff, whatever, I had gone to a tarot reader for my birthday, and that tarot reader said that there was a project waiting for me with someone from my past, and that it was going to be like a really big thing for my career and a really big thing for myself as an artist. And then just like 3 days later, Ellie messaged me, and I was like, ooh.
And you're like, ooh. And then all these ghouls came out and started doing a ghostly skeleton dance.
And one of them was Ellie.
One of them was me. I was actually leading the parade of ghouls. There's lots of ghouls. Ghouls is one of my favorite words, and I think we should also include ghouls in the podcast somehow.
Gays, theys, and ghouls? Or like girls, gays, theys, and ghouls? Maybe.
Love that. That could be a spooky segment later on.
Spooky segment.
Gays.
Well, yeah, there is going to be a Halloween episode because Halloween is gay Christmas, and this is a podcast for gay things. So yeah, Ellie and I are excited to be reconnecting, and it's really fun to see with her studies in queerness and my experiences in queerness what it is that we have experienced similarly in terms of queer media, queer shows, queer books, and what we haven't. So we're going to be taking each other through a lot of our favorite queer stuff. Also, please, in our little Ask Us box or Reddit or Gmail or whatever it is going to end up being, send us your favorite queer things. Send us stuff that you would like to see us do. I think it would be fun to take take like a BuzzFeed article, like the Are You Gay quiz or something like that. Ridiculous. But anyway, in terms of what also you can expect next is Ellie's a very connected journalist, so we might have some very special guests. I'm a queer-ass little TikToker, so maybe some queer-ass little TikTokers can come onto this channel. We're really excited for all of the things that can happen. And then, in 2 weeks from this episode, we will be doing our first Liz's book club. Our third episode will be discussing the book, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Oh, Sparky announced it for me.
So good. It's so good.
So, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Ellie, continue.
And so it's, I don't want to give it away, but it's pretty gay. And it takes place in like old Hollywood. It's great. I listened to it, which I actually really recommend because they have 3 different actresses playing the 3 different, I don't want to, whatever, entities. Yeah. And it's great. You can also read it if you like reading words. Reading words is just kind of hard for me, so I like listening to them.
I read it. Ellie listened to it. Both of us had a great time. Yeah. It was one of, and I don't say this lightly, it was one of the best literary experiences of my entire life. Beyond it being a great book for queer lovers and queer book clubs, it is just a great book. Period.
Good book. Like it's I would just recommend it to anyone. It's so well written. It's like Diary of a Wimpy Kid is here, and then Seven Husbands of Ellen Hugo here. I mean, they're close, but it's Seven Husbands is definitely higher up.
Because you can't see her hand motions, Seven Husbands was slightly above Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Slightly.
So if you were interested in hearing us talk about that book, talk about different opinions of it, do some funny little queer things with it, and do some serious conversations about it, give it a read, give it a listen, check it out, and then on that episode, our third episode, we will be discussing it all together, which is really excited for Liz's book club, #1 book club, to be The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because again, it is an amazing book and something really cool to come out swinging with. Well, Miss Ellie, do we have anything else to give these listeners today?
That's all we have. Do you want to... Julie has a really slutty little sign off that I forgot. So, do you want to do that?
The idea is that I'm going to say this sign off, and then Ellie's going to improv a sign off every time that's slightly different. Mm-hmm. So we're going to give you our sign off, then you're going to hear our music, and then you're going to go about your day. You're just going to live your life. Thank you for joining us on this little adventure. Thank you for coming on all of our ADHD tangents with us, and also that this is our first episode, so you know, we're still figuring, we're getting our bearings, we're getting our sea legs.
We're figuring it out.
Our podcast legs, but we're so happy that you're here. We're so excited to share all of this with you. Our pets, our screams, our Jeff Goldblums, our fetuses, our gay.
Our menstrual cycles.
Our ADHD. All of it. We're excited to share it with you, and our weird accents, especially our weird accents.
Especially that.
All right, well, this has been Liz. I'm Julie Jester, and remember, sexiness is a state of mind.
I'm Ellie Rudy, and all of your imaginary friends growing up, all bisexual. Goodbye.
Thanks, bye.